All right, so yeah, so we're about to kick off with the
It's
first
6
session.
o'clock.
Okay, so that was just a very quick prompt reminder from my laptop. So what we're going to be doing right now is I would first kick off with um, a couple of introduction, introduce our guests and also say a little bit about the platform and also the community, right? What we do at Top Universe. And yeah, then I would hand over to the guest so we can kick off with the presentation from his hand. So basically, I'm sure most of you on this call already know me. My name is Marvelous, and I am the co-founder at Top Universe. Yeah, so basically, if you're asking yourself what Top Universe stands for, Top Universe is an end-to-end micro learning network for the future of work. So basically what we do is, basically we provide training resources, training materials. We organize events and, we train a large, amount of people. We have a ton of people on the Discord server currently. And if you're new here, of course, you should try and join. We have a lot of amazing people in the community. You can learn from them. You can, network and also get a lot of opportunities, to meet people who are the same, who are in the same, specialization or in the same field as you. All right. So feel free to visit our website, topuniverse.org, to learn more about the platform. And if you want to know more about me, you can simply visit my website as well, solomonmarvel.com. You can connect with me on LinkedIn and also on Twitter via my website. All right. And today we are going to be talking about antivirus innovation. I would allow the speaker, say the details or give the details and also introduce himself next. All right. So Zayad, if you can hear me, go ahead and unmute yourself. And I think you can kick off with the presentation.
Okay, is my voice clear?
Yes, yes, of course, I can hear you. All right.
Okay, hello everyone. Welcome and thank you all. First, assalamu alaikum everyone and welcome. Thank you all for attending the talk. So basically today we're going to talk about or understanding the basic bypass or basic evasion for antivirus software and how the threat actors are able to bypass it and the techniques called misconfiguration that make the antivirus vulnerable to a bypass. So who am I? My name is Yad. I'm a security session writer now at Vicarious, also called Visual Society. I'm also the developer, content writer, speaker before at Unimai Student Club and the Unimai event. I'm also a software engineering student. I'm quite interesting about exploit development, security research, IoT, and hardware, especially the networking stuff, like exploiting network protocols. Also have some assigned CVEs here, some certifications from Elon Security. And I quite love books, reading articles, some researches about the new discovered vulnerability and the past one also, doing little CTF, bug bounty hunting, and love to go through the used tools and techniques for attacks of the developed tools for abusing some vulnerabilities. For today, we are going to talk about, here's the agenda. We're going to talk about malware and antivirus history, starting from where the malware got founded or came to exist, and the antivirus history and evaluation of both of them. Then we're going to talk about the antivirus. It's also called anti-malware because virus actually is a type of malware. We're going to know that while we're going through the talk. Also, we're going to talk about the basics of the antivirus, how it's actually working, what the engines of the antivirus, how it's scanning the files and catching the malwares. Then we're moving to the common misconfigurations and techniques that affecting the antivirus or could affect the antivirus and lead to an evasion. After that, we talk about the requirements you need to know or the tools you need to have and the environment for starting your research and bypassing the antivirus. After that, we're gonna make a little demo because applying all of these techniques and methods going to take quite a lot of time and a lot of hours. So in the demonstration, we're going to show how to do the first step of the research and make it effective by collecting information about the software or the antivirus software you are dealing with, and you wish to bypass it or evade it for your project or your engagement if you are working as a pen tester. And finally, we're gonna go through the conclusion at the end, and I'm gonna leave a lot of resources to get more deeper and learn more about the antivirus evasion. So let's get started. First, what is a malware actually? So the malware word actually is a short for malicious software, and basically it's a bad software or bad coded or designed to perform some malicious and harmful activities on the user device, such as by causing damages such as data losing, compromising your machine, and losing money. The reason here I coded the losing money because most of the attackers, if it's not all attackers, are looking for money. So your data gonna be sold if it's, especially if it's sensitive data like your banking account information or whatever, it's gonna be sold at a high price. So it's costing money. So this is basically a target for each attacker. So malwares have various types and families actually. One of them is devices, but because of the devices is one of the most wide malwares. That's why people call it devices. For for an example of, or for instance, the ransomware, which one of the malwares that encrypting your files. I'm pretty sure that some people here have faced it and got the files encrypted and was not be able to access it or open it. So ransomware is a type of malware actually. It's not a virus. But some malwares could have the functionality or the activity of many malwares actually. For example, we here have the spyware. Okay, the spyware basically some of the malwares that collecting information about you and spying on you. For example, collecting information about your location, the usernames and passwords, mostly tracking your browser activities to hunting for the username and passwords or even credentials on the device. We have the Trojan, and the Trojan here, maybe some people know about the story of Trojan horse. It's an old story in the history. So basically, the Trojan is a normal software or a malicious software that acting normal. Okay, so basically, when you open it, it's behaving as a normal software, and it's not actually. It's a Trojan which is connecting the attacker to your device and take over your PC or your machine. We have the worm. Worm here. It's basically it's basically called worm because it's when it's infecting device, it's go and infect more devices on the network. So it's spreading through the network, and that's why it's called worm. I don't know if some of you heard about the common or famous ransomware that called WannaCry. It's classified as a ransomware, but it also was a worm doing the worm activities because he was exploiting the Eternal Blue vulnerability, looking for devices that it's vulnerable to Eternal Blue vulnerability and go exploit it and replicate itself on that device or infected that device. So it's classified as a ransomware because it was the main goal is to encrypt the files. That's why it's classified as a ransomware. But as you can see, it's also doing the activities of the worm and the activities of the ransomware, but main goal was to encrypting the file. That's why it's classified as the ransomware. And there are quite a lot of malware types that you could search about it on Google. We have macros, there are new malwares, which is fileless malwares, and many more. So maybe some of you think that malwares actually are something that have 20 years old or something like that, but it's existing since 1971. And the first malware was called the Creeper, and the Creeper actually was not causing any damages to the devices that get infected by it or anything else. Basically, it was an experiment that developed by someone. I don't remember his name actually, but you could search for the story about the Creeper. You're gonna find it. So basically, it was an experiment. When you open the file, it's displaying a box message saying, "If can you catch the creeper?" So it was like basically experiment for writing a malware or developing a malware using the normal coding. Okay, as the creeper came to exist, every infection has a treatment. So the treatment for this was the first called as a first antivirus software. It was called the Reaper, and the Reaper was, as I said, the first antivirus software. And its job, it was just to hunt for the creeper and stop its activities. But it was not doing any damages to devices. It was not harmful activities. Okay, so you can search just for the Creeper and the Reaper story. You're gonna find it. So as you can see, it's since 1971, which is around 52 or 51 years old. So the evolution of the malwares and antivirus softwares and beyond. On 1978, the first Trojan came to exist, which have been identified. Then we came to 1981. We found the Elk cloner, and Elk cloner was the first Mac OS malware. It was infecting the Macintosh. After that, 1986 IBM PC malware. Then the worm, Maurice worm. The worm came to exist in 1988. After that, we have I Love You, and I Love You malware actually was a macro, okay, that sent in the Valentine to people and telling them that this is a secret message from someone love you. And after the people download it and run it, they get infected with the malware. It was a macro malwares, and basically the macros are type of malwares that infecting the document of the Microsoft Office and related documents. And in 2010 or 2010, we saw the Stuxnet, and I think some people know about it. It's very common and very famous between everybody or between the people. So Stuxnet actually infected the Iranian nuclear engine, and it was pretty dangerous because as you can see, these things are digital. It could do harmful activity or damages physically. It could affect the actual real life of us because the ransomware, the popular ransomware WannaCry, it's infected, as I remember, it's infected a hospital in Germany, and it led some patient to die because it's encrypted the whole devices on the information about the patients that need the surgery and all this stuff. So the doctors and the staff were not able to make the surgery for the patients, therefore they died. So as you can see, the impact could reach the actual physical life we live in. So we're gonna explain the antivirus, how it's actually work, but antivirus is doing some basic stuff, the traditional antivirus. But after that, the next generation antivirus came to exist, and EDR, which is a short for extended detection response. Endpoint detection response, and then XDR, which is the extended detection response. So the difference here between the potential antivirus is that mostly it's based on signature detection. We're gonna know that signature detection and other stuff in the next slides. And basically, quick brief here is that it's taking the malware and compare it to a database of signatures. If it's found one of these signatures in the file, then that file is malicious, considered as malicious. If it's not found, then this file is not malicious. So the difference between the normal antivirus, it's usually you need a lot of updates, and it cannot prevent a wide area of the threats done by malwares. But the next generation antivirus, it's implemented and have some features like the AI, artificial intelligence, and machine learning. So it's basically more powerful and could protect against new attacks and of the new threats done by the malwares, like the fileless attacks or the fileless malwares. Also, it's able to learn from the malware's behaviors and all of this stuff. For the XDR and the EDR, the difference here that, as you can see, the EDRs can detect and investigate, also response for the threat that's happening on the endpoint. Also, the XDR do the same. So the difference here that EDR don't have the capabilities of detection, investigation, and response for the network, and it's not doing some detection and response, also analytics for the user behavior, and it's not doing some automated stitching for the network and endpoint and the cloud data. So this is the difference between the EDR and the XDR, if you was wondering. Now, moving to the antivirus overview, or how the actual antivirus is working. So basically, antivirus is a software like any other software in exist. So as you know, the software development life cycle of any software development, we start by building the core and build the other features of building the other features at the libraries or modules, then connected to the core or to the actual that one file that's connecting or calling functions from the other features. So it's be available and be easy to edit on it and add some new features, fixing the code. Because if you're gonna write million or thousands of lines of codes in one file, we will not be able to track it or debug it or performing some updates or fixes to it. It's gonna be really hard. But when you divide the work and relate it into libraries or the features and relate it to the one core, it's be easy to manage and modify. So antivirus, we're focusing here on antivirus engines. So the antivirus has many engines to perform tasks and different types of detection and scanning for the malware. And it has mostly what engines: the static, dynamic, the unpacking engine, and the heuristic engine. So moving to the static engine, malware actually also is a software. So the static engine basically is scanning the files based on the type. And why the type is important here? Because there's some compression or compress file types like ZIB, REV, and 7Z, and all these types. There are a lot of card types and tar also. So there's compression types. So malware checking the file type before scan actually, because if it's ZIB, it's needed to decompress the file and go through each file inside the compressed file to scan it. So it's scanning based on the extension. Extension is important here. So basically, this is how the static engine works. It's taking the file and go for the static engine, and the static engine have a database of signatures. So the database containing the previous discovered malwares, because each malware vendor, each antivirus vendor or antivirus service provider, it has a team of malware analysis people. So these people are taking the new discovered malware and analyzing it, creating signatures for it, and update it to the users in the database. So it's gonna take it in the static engine is taking the file, then take the signatures of the database signatures or the signatures of the database and start comparing it and looking for matches within the file or to the file. And if it's find one of it, then the file is malicious and taking the actions depending on the configuration on the antivirus or how the antivirus is going to deal with it. If it's not found any signatures, then it's going to be being, and that's mean non-malicious. So basically, there are quite a lot of methods and ways to bypass as relying on signatures. By you can modify the whole antivirus signature, like doing obfuscation or modifying the code or writing the code in another way, or totally different between the signatures. So it's gonna pass it as non-malicious file or identify it as non-malicious file. Therefore, you're gonna bypass it. We're gonna talk about this part in the common misconfigurations and techniques. So the unpacking engine. So before we understand the unpacking engine, the unpacking engine, we need to understand what is packing actually. So packing is a technique that used actually, it's normal thing technique used actually to protecting the softwares by compressing the actual code for the software. And after this, it's when you run the software, it's gonna do unpack for it in the memory, okay? Because it's gonna compress the code. Therefore, it's gonna have to analyze the software or reverse engineer it, because we will use this method or the software developer providers or service provider for software development using some of this stuff for backing technique or backing softwares. So our software do backing, and each software do the backing in a different way. So basically, they're using this technique or this method to protect their softwares from reverse engineers. As so, also the attackers or the threat actors use it to protect their malwares from the antivirus, so it cannot be detected. Also, the malware analysis that are doing analysis for the malware will be hard to analyze it as it's compressed and or backed. So basically, the unpacking engine is taking the file and check which packer is packed the software on the malware, and do unpacking for it from the unpacker scripts that are in the unpacking engine. As a note, you all have to know that before the unpacking engine do unpacking actually for the software or the malware, it cannot do it as it's not exist here, because some attackers or some threat actors write a packer, a new custom packer for themselves. Therefore, the malware analysis first have to do a manual unpacking to the software or to the malware, then write a script or a tool and implement it at the feature of under the unpacking engine. So therefore, when the unpacking engine take the file, it's going to check which packer is backed the file, and then do unpacking for it and provide the malware with the actual code. So the antivirus software, the actual code for the backed file. The heuristic engine, and the heuristic engine basically it's also matching, but it's not matching on signatures. It's matching the rules with the file or with the software. For example, it's going to find when you run a specific software, a specific malware, it's going to maybe dump some files in the directory of the temp directory in the Windows. So the malware analyst writing a rule, okay? So the heuristic engine working as a rule-based or based on rules. So it's gonna write a rule when a specific file, if its behavior to dump files in the temp directory, then this is considered as malicious. Or when it's open some sort of bots or listening to bots and waiting for some packets, then it's malicious. Or when it's trying to access some sensitive files, then it's considered as malicious. So basically, the heuristic engines take the file and compare it to the rules, and so basically it's closer to behavior rules. So and checking it's the rules, comparing it to the file or to the software or malware, and after this, doing the decision if it's malicious or non-malicious. Okay, the dynamic engine. And as it's called dynamic, the dynamic engine is checking the malware of the software or of the software if it's malicious or not, based on the behavior by analyzing its behavior. So how it's actually working, it's taking the software of the file or whatever it is and start to do some of the following two of the API monitoring. And API, we all know the API, which is short for Application Programming Interface. And there are system APIs also that doing direct call or doing a task directly from calling the API to the system. Okay, so some of the APIs considered as malicious, or will not say considered as malicious, but some APIs used by a lot of malwares, like common APIs, for example, API that creating a new file. Okay, it's called create new file W. I don't remember the name of the API, but this is one of the Windows APIs. It's creating a new file. So basically, what it's happening here, that the dynamic engine is intercepting the API requests for the process or for the malware or the software, and it check for malicious API calling, because some API it's used commonly, I've used commonly between the malwares, so it's defined as malicious because it's used widely between the malicious softwares. Also, the second way is by do sandboxing, and sandboxing is by separating the file from the system and run it inside sandbox. So basically, the sandbox is a virtual environment that are surrounding the application, okay, and do simulation and then run it. So the dynamic engine execute the malware inside the sandbox and start to analyze its behavior. For example, it start to change the file types, then it's a ransomware and it's encrypting the files. Therefore, it's going to be identified as a malware, as I said. So this is basically how the dynamic engine works. And after doing both of these two, it's starting to make the decision if it's going to consider it as a malicious or non-malicious. Okay, so the common misconfigurations and techniques that affecting the antivirus or used against the antivirus. The first one is the insecure permissions. And basically, the antivirus, as we said previously in the static engine, that there's a database file of signature, okay, or the signature database file. If the antivirus implemented the permissions in non-secure way, we could have insecure permissions here. And what it's basically happened that any user could read or write a specific file. For example, this sensitive files like the database signatures database file, as I said. So a low privilege user will be able to access it, okay? Maybe modifying it. Therefore, it's going to delete the whole signatures inside the file, or replace it if it has the right access on this file. It's going to write on it and make a new MBT file with the same name. Therefore, when the static engine of the antivirus called the file, is going to be empty. So when it's taking, let's back to the static engine, sorry. So when it's taking the file, as it's the signatures database file is vulnerable to insecure permissions, and the attacker or the malicious user were able to replace it with a MBT file or delete the signature inside it. Therefore, when the static engine takes the software to convert the signature to it, there's nothing here. There's nothing in the signatures. Then it's considered as MBT. Therefore, it's going to convert it to nothing. As a result, it's going to make the decision to the malware, even if it's not a malware, but there's no signatures. Therefore, the decision will be always that it's a non-malicious file. And therefore, you'll be able to bypass the static engine. This is for the insecure permissions. So the improper privileges. So some people does not make confusion between the improper privilege and the insecure permissions. Basically, improper privileges, it's something when you implement, it's implemented in unsecure way also in the antivirus to check that make the antivirus software or the software at all not to check if the user is uh, privileged enough to access the software components or the software directories or files or whatever. So here, the idea between the difference between insecure permissions and the improper privileges, that the insecure permissions, it's some sort of permissions. For example, the low privileged user can read some files, for example, but cannot write, you know? So there's here a difference between the insecure permissions and the improper privileges. For the improper privileges, you could read, write, and whatever, because it's forget to check, or it's not checking in the right way if you are privileged to access the components or the directories for the antivirus or no. So here, when you have something like this, you could delete the whole files that antivirus is using, which is will be a mistake and will mess up the antivirus actually. Because you know antivirus need these files because these files are libraries, are some configuration files, some sort of them are the database the signature files, you know. So when you delete it or modify on it also, it's gonna cause the antivirus to stop and will not work. Therefore, you're gonna bypass it. The encoded service bus. I know that some of you, if you have even started in cybersecurity or specifically in the pen testing, in the privilege escalation, we use the encoded service bus to escalate our privileges from a normal user to administrator, or as we say, from normal user to root. So basically, when there's a misconfiguration with the bus, okay, because when the antivirus installed on your device, it's creating a service, and this service identify a bus for which file is running, okay, or which file is hosted and have to be run on this service, or the service have to run it. So here's as an example, the RVBN program, okay, it's not coded. The service is not coded. Therefore, what is happening actually, that Windows, when you are not coded the path for the binary file, it's gonna consider the space here as a file name. For example, before the space, we have here, as you can see, program files, AV vendor, AV software.exe. So basically, we want to try when the service is running, it's gonna check C program and put the .exe before the space because it's not coded. If you coded it, that means that this is a fault path, you know, because when you run from the command line, if you make a space, for example, to go for a specific location and there's a space, okay, if you didn't code it, it's gonna tell you that this location is not exist. So Windows gonna try to run C program.exe, and if it's not found, it's gonna complete and run, which is before the space also, which is the next pass ev.exe. So if the attacker or the malicious user find it in one of the antivirus software services, what it's gonna happen that it's gonna replace, for example, or create a file called program.exe in the C directory. And when the antivirus service run again, it's gonna run the program.exe. Therefore, it's called lead the attacker to run its malicious executable, or without that, just putting a normal non-malicious executable. But this would cause the antivirus to lose a lot of features and missing a lot of threads while scanning, because the service that antivirus is not running, okay? As a result, missing a lot of threads, and maybe this executable is one of the antivirus most importantly stuff, like static engine, for example. Then you able to bypass the whole static engine. The DLL hijacking, also one of the misconfiguration that the antivirus software could be vulnerable to. For example, basically the DLL is a short for dynamic linked library, and it's used as a library in the softwares, okay, to calling some functions and importing some features. So basically, some antivirus softwares or some softwares at all in general, when it's looking for a DLL, uh, some of DLLs are missing. Therefore, you can hijack it, like do the same DLL file with the same name and put it in the same directory where the antivirus looking for. As a result, it's gonna it's will launch your DLL file, and you could this DLL file could be malicious, and you can execute it. Therefore, you're gonna get access to the device, or you can evaluate your privileges. Okay, depending on the antivirus software privileges for sure. But there are a lot of types for DLL hijacking, and one of them is order searching. And the order searching is basically that the antivirus software looking for sort of DLL files depending on the directory tree in Windows, okay? For example, it's looking in Windows System 32 file. If the attacker first, okay? Then second, it's searching for Windows/System 32, then other directory, any directory. So if the attacker put the DLL with the same name in the first directory that the antivirus search for, it's gonna load the hijacked DLL or the malicious DLL created by the attacker. As a result, it's gonna execute it also. But maybe this DLL file that existing and the antivirus were trying to order it or load it, it's helping the antivirus in discovering some malicious softwares. But as it's not loaded, we made the antivirus to lose some other its feature, and will miss also some threads. Okay, the buffer overflow, and it's one of the common thing maybe most of the people here are familiar with, and it's one of the memory compression vulnerabilities. And basically, buffer overflow lets you write or overwrite in the memory places. For example, you created a function, okay? Uh, this function is vulnerable for overflow, and it's handling 7 or 8 bytes of the like the size of the input is 8 bytes. If the attacker or the user who is using the software put more than the 8 bytes, it's gonna overwrite the places in memory after, because you put more size than the input actually taking. Therefore, it's gonna write in the memory. As a result, the attacker can inject its own malicious code and run it in the memory. And as a note, we have to know that the memory compression vulnerabilities is hard to be detected from the antivirus. So this is one of the methods to bypass the antivirus. Some people exploiting a previous vulnerable software for buffer overflows and get access to the device without getting caught by the antivirus, okay? But in one of my projects, we were exploiting the Eternal Blue vulnerability using the Metasploit framework. And we were using the payload, okay? To drive the exploit, we were using the meta-beta payload. But when we get the shell, it's get disconnected and the session is getting dead. After that we knew that the antivirus on the device was stopping it, because antivirus is now scanning the processes, and the processes is an identifier, and it's like get created when the code run in the memory. So basically, it was scanning the process for matching signatures, and the metadata is so popular, so it was easy to cut it. So after that, when we used the normal shell or the normal CMD shell, okay, non-metadata shell, without it, we were able to bypass it. Actually, it was not able to caught us, because when you use a normal payload or the CMD normal payload, okay, or a normal shell, actually, when you look at the processes, you're gonna find that it's open a CMD file, which is considered as legitimate software or trusted process, though. So therefore, it was not scaled, and we were able to get the shield normally. Okay, there's another. Oh, sorry. Okay, also one of the techniques is the time-based, and this technique is used to bypass the dynamic engine specifically. For example, and it's called time-based because some malwares are querying the environment and they check for the environment. For example, here the malware is querying the environment and it check if it's a sandbox or a virtual environment. Then if it's true, it's gonna sleep. And by sleep here is to stop the code, okay, or do nothing, or just exit, you know. So second, if it's not a sandbox, it's gonna run itself and start its malicious activities. This is one of the techniques that you could use against the dynamic engine to bypass it, or bypass the sandboxing method of the dynamic engine to detect the malware. So you will be able to bypass it because, you know, the antivirus software cannot run for 30 minutes to analyze a file. That's causing a big delay in the scanning. So some malwares, when discovered that they are in sandboxing, they may stop for 5 minutes or 10 minutes or 15 minutes or whatever, based on the attacker that have developed the malware. So when it's like that, and find that the software that run inside the sandbox didn't do anything, that's mean it's non-malicious. So it's gonna let it pass and consider as non-malicious, but it's actually a malicious file. And other than that, the malware will run itself if it's not inside the sandbox. Okay, backing. As we were talking about backing before, and we explained it. As you said, it's compressing the code of the software, and also it's as I said, there are a lot of types of backers. Well, I said that because each backer is working with a different algorithm and in a different way. So when a backer takes the software, it's whatever backer you're using, even if it's a custom backer you have built, it's backing the software depending on the algorithm you identified or done or developed the backer with it. Then when this backed software get executed, it's get unpacked in the memory, okay? On the runtime, when you execute it, it's getting unpacked in the memory and the actual code get run, okay? So as a result, that's why I was saying malware's antivirus is scanning the running process, because when the file run or the software run or an executable run, it's creating a process. So it starts to scanning this process for matching signatures. Then we have the obfuscation, and this technique basically is about to change the form and the look of the code, because for example, if the anti-malware or the antivirus is looking for a Word document in the malware or in the strings of the malware, therefore that means it's malicious, you know. So basically what to do, this is a simple obfuscated code actually. So some people do crazy obfuscation. So here's what's happening here. The document write, and here's your code. You're writing code inside the browser. This is a JavaScript code. So what he did, did the document, okay, like this. It separated the line in different variables. Therefore, after this, it's add the variables of the strings to each other, which made it, which will at the end create the document to try to my code, and then do eval, and the eval is gonna execute the code, okay, eval function. So this is how obfuscation works. You changing the form and the look of the code to bypass the static engine. Okay, so one of the other techniques used is encryption. We all know encryption, and if you don't know encryption, it's used for the confidentiality of the files and the information, to encrypt it and make it non-understandable and non-readable, and no one would be able to access it if this person does not have the keys. So basically, attackers or threat actors using the encryption, okay, to encrypt their malwares by some sort of algorithm, maybe RSA, EES. There are a lot of encryption algorithms that could be used. Okay, and when they encrypt the malware, therefore the antivirus would not be able to understand anything because it's not has a key. Okay, so some of them encrypt the malware, and on the runtime, when the malware gets executed, there's a function that decrypt, okay, that decrypted the code and then get it run when it's executed. And some people use this method also by writing the code separately, okay, like writing a function, encrypted function, then another of sort of encrypted code here, and another encrypted code. So we have 4 encrypted functions, for example, and there's another function or another 4 function that each one of them decrypt each one of the encrypted functions and then add it in a one function and then execute it. So it's like you do obfuscation for the logic or the behavior of the code. And this is a method that also mostly close to the logical stuff, and it's called junk code technique or junk code method, and it's used to hide the logic of the antivirus. And you can basically bypass the heuristic engine based on it, maybe because it's behavioral stuff, you know. So for example, we have this code, okay, and this code is gonna use the net command to add a user called malicious user and with a password called malicious password, okay. And here's a function, and this function is calling the OS library.system, which is gonna execute commands, and we pass the command above here at the comment, and then call the function to get it executed. So basically, it's easy to be detected and going to be detected. So if you are doing the junk code to bypass it, or to bypass the detection, you're going to do it like this. You created the command, okay? Of course, you're going to not type it, the function as a malicious function at all, you know? So this is just for example. So if you're developing a malware or malicious code, don't use knowing strings of knowing words. Make it obfuscated, okay? So basically here we, as you can see from the previous one, but we didn't execute the function. We basically make a variable called num and give it assigned to it 5 as a value, then in, and assigned 1 as a value. After this, we made a for loop according to num value, and then add 1 to plus during the for loop. And after this, we checked if n is equal to, you will do time to sleep 1, okay, which is gonna make the code sleep for 1 second. If not, then assign 2 to n variable, and if n equal to, then make a variable called z and assign 1 to it. After this, if it's not n equal to, assign a variable called x and create a variable called x and assign 0 to it as a value. Then we check if z is equal to, and z actually is equal 1. If it's equal to, it's going to execute the malicious function. If x is equal 0, it's going to execute the malicious function. If not, z or x is going to execute the malicious function. So this is the junk code. Actually, you're playing with the antivirus based on the behavior. So you own the logic of the code. You make the logic of the code non-understandable. Like all of this stuff not making any sense, you know. So you change the logic of the code, and this is one of the techniques that threat actors or the attackers are using to bypass the antivirus. Okay, so now before you start the research, we need some requirements, okay? and on need to understand some stuff. The virtualization technology of the virtualization means it's basically like a software that's simulating the system or operating system by using the actual physical hardware of the actual computer or actual device system. Like a separated fault system or fault environment based by using your actual resources from your physical device. And some tools or softwares that we can use to build such something or creating a virtual machine or virtual system. We have VMware Player, VMware Workstation, VirtualBox. And the difference here between VMware Play and VMware Workstation, because some people think they are the same, but the Play is the community edition or the free edition, and the second one is the official edition, which is commercial. But the difference here that the VMware Workstation have more features and capabilities. Also, we have the full community and full-featured and competitor to VMware Workstation is VirtualBox. So what your device can run and use it. So we need to understand the process as we talked. Process is the identifier for a running code or a running executable in the memory. For example, when we run the calculator or Firefox program or whatever, we can see that here, if we own the task manager, we can see here the running processes. Okay, Zoom, because we're running Zoom executed, because when you execute a program, it's code, it's loaded in the memory, then it's get run. So it's giving you here some simple informations. Actually, there are other programs and softwares we could use to extract more information about the process. So as you can see here, the process name, here we can see the usage of the CPU, memory, disk, network, the graphic card for the process. Okay. So why do we need to know about the process? Because when antivirus run, its process. Okay, it's run as a process, of course, in memory, and it has some sub processes run after it. So we need to identify the files actually that the antivirus is using to be able to scan it or scan it manually for sure, or test it for some of the misconfigurations that could lead to a bypass. Because some people go for malware development to bypass the antivirus, and understanding that that's pretty good, and for sure I would recommend that. But as we say, work smart. Sometimes you need to work hard for sure, but work smart, and you can be able to bypass the antivirus by identifying just a simple misconfiguration without needing to do a lot of hard work. That's reducing the time you could use for your research or for finding and bypass. So back into the process, the tools we could use for the process we're gonna need to use is Process Explorer, and then the Process Monitor. And basically the difference here, the Process Explorer, it's make you exploring the process and the sub-process under it. The Process Monitor here is doing the same, including the files that loaded or the DLLs files that loaded with the process. Also, what did this process do? Like, for example, the operations that this process do, for example, querying a file, querying a directory to see the directory files, creating a file, write on a file, for example. We have then the registry, and registry, basically it's a database in Windows. We can search it here, is registry. As you can see, so basically it's a database that stores the configuration of the Windows system and the softwares. So some softwares could have some registries or registry files that telling the antivirus to keep, for example, to keep running, because some antivirus you could disable the protection from the settings. So maybe in the registry you have some insecure permission on the registry that could lead any user to modify it. And when you modify the value of this registry, it will make the antivirus protection off. So that's why we need to get some or query or find the registries of the antivirus software. And the tools we are going to use for this is going to be reshot. Okay, you can do it manually from PowerShell, the CMD, but we're going to make the process more easy using reshot, and we're going to use it while we're starting the session in the demonstration. And we're going to do the demonstration after these slides directly. So we have the outrun, and basically the outrun is, let's say, the component or a feature. Okay, there's an outrun file. Maybe people know about it, that is attached to the CD-ROMs or the CD disk of USB or whatever. So it's like a configuration file that run after executing or entering the CD-ROM. Okay, it has some sort of options, but also it's a feature that lead the file some sort of executables or files to run on the system booting when the system is opened and is booting and running. These files get run or get executed. Why do we need that? Because also you could find some misconfigurations, and by querying the antivirus files directories, you could delete it, which you could have some insecure permissions, which you can delete the executable, and on the boot time the antivirus will not run. So therefore you can run all of your malicious codes or tools you need for some post exploitation activities, or you need to dump some passwords or whatever. So the demo time we have here, I have built here a simple machine and get everything ready on it. So I'm gonna set up. You have to build your own virtual machine, of course, for the research. And after installing the antivirus, because it may need internet to install at first, you have to change the network settings here of the machine to host only, to make the machine without internet, because the antivirus software will submit the sample or the file you scan to the vendor. Therefore, it could your file would be get analytic and then identified as malicious, and you will lose your research. So after installing it, you have to put the machine or the virtual machine on the host only settings. So we're waiting the machine to open. It's taking quite too long here. Okay, I will just try to restart it.
Yeah, so we always experience that during demos, Zayad.
Oh, yeah. It's okay. So it was running normally actually before the demo, but it's the demo time, so the Windows have to do updates or do automatic repair. Okay, it's open now. That's good. So let's maximize the screen and start our research. Not at the demo time. Okay, I will just start it again. Bismillah.
Yeah, so is there a special reason why you use VMware as compared to other tools?
Why I'm using VMware, you mean?
Yeah.
Okay, so actually, I find that my device or my sources are capable and combine it with the VMware software because I try to use VirtualBooks and because I'm using it to build some labs and simulating some attacks on my device. So the VirtualBooks was facing with me some problem and issues with delaying and
Oh.
glitching, but the VMware was not actually. But okay, the machine is open. I don't know why the machine did this to me in the demo, but it's
All
okay.
right. All right. Okay.
Okay, so now it's opening, and after this, we're gonna install the our antivirus software, and I choose the ESCT of the Node 32 antivirus, uh, especially because I'm using it personally. So I will do the research on it with you. Okay, our machine is open now, so uh, just let's give it 2 minutes at least to boot up. Okay, so previously I have downloaded the softwares we're gonna use or the tools, and here's the antivirus window, which is ECT or ECT. I'm gonna install it now, and before we install it, we need to no. I will stop it. I will not install it. Before we run the installation, before I forgot, we have to go for the reshot to take like a backup or a snapshot from the actual existing that the registers that are existing now in the registry database. So we're gonna take a shoot and save. As you can see, the machine has no software as I have installed on it before. It's totally pure. So and it's better. So when we take the second shoot after installing the antivirus, we don't reboot. We take the second shoot, and then the reshoot gonna make compare and find the new configured or set it up registries. So therefore, we will be able to identify the antivirus vendor registries easily. And basically, sometimes some vendors write their software service and registry in different names. So the antivirus, the malware, not okay. We can keep it on desktop. We call it 1ST. So as I was saying, they calling the software with different name when it's set up the registries with a different name and the service. So the malware will not be able to attack the antivirus services, and this is one of the self-defense mechanisms that the antivirus have uh, that would lead to the malware to not be able to stop the antivirus easily because some malwares attacking the antivirus services to stop it and then start performing the malicious activities. So now we start set up our antivirus software. And after installing, be careful because it's gonna ask us to report. We will not report the machine or the system because we need to take the second shot first, and then we can report after installing. Okay, seems that the machine is installed actually. I actually gave this machine 8 GB RAMs. I don't know, and it was working finally before the talk actually.
Yeah. So I think sometimes coupled with screen sharing, it's kind of
Yeah,
slow down or consume more memory. So I've noticed that as well on Discord. Yeah.
Yes, maybe, or maybe the Microsoft don't want us do the demo. So okay, I think we could take some questions until the machine is ready to run.
Yeah. So I think we'll take some questions until the machine is ready. So I think some of the questions, you're looking at the context of the session. Some of the questions that we had received. Can you hear me?
In the chat, or
can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Oh yeah. So some of the questions we had received on the server, on the Discord server, because we shared the material and the event on our server, and we have some basic questions from some of the members of the community. So for example, someone actually reached out to ask if we still need antivirus software in 2022. So I wanted to present that to you, and let's hear your feedback on that.
Okay, so basically, people say if the attackers or in general the threat actors can bypass the defense mechanisms and the defense devices of softwares or physically stuff like firewalls or whatever, they think we don't need to use it. No, we need to use it. Actually, I know we can bypass it, but by the time these defense mechanisms and defense solutions get evaluation by the time, okay, and get updated, which is making a challenge to the attacker. So basically, not all attacks are gonna be successful against the defense solution. So let's say it's reducing the amount of the attacks and the threats on your organization or on your device personally users or as an individual, not have to be organization. So let's say you have downloaded a known ransomware and you don't know. If you don't have antivirus, you will run it and the malware gonna run peacefully, but your device will get no peace actually. Your all files will get encrypted. So using it make you reduce the risk and the threats. So that's not means that we can bypass it. It's useless. It's not useless. We still need it.
Okay. So based on your experience, what would be some of the recommendations? The antivirus solutions that you can recommend for mobile and PC users.
Okay, yeah, from one of the evaluations that happened to antiviruses, that it's first existed to the computer or PC devices, but now it's existing for different of operating system. You can find antiviruses for Linux, you can find for Android now. So basically, the vendor depending on you, and you can choose what you are comfortable for. Because I see a lot of technical blogs saying that the Bitdefender antivirus is better and all this stuff, but basically I'm comfortable with the ESET. But also you could search for some analytic reports and see which one was more effectively, because maybe some of antiviruses caught some type of malwares better than the other, because ESET was able to catch and detect the boot rattle beacon that I have created. Okay, but actually when I created a new one and changed the file name and scan it again, the Bitdefender was not able to catch it. So depending depending on what you are comfortable for, and you can look through the analytic reports.
So I think maybe what we could also do is probably check the feedback before downloading or purchasing some of these antivirus
yes
solutions, right?
Also you can watch the feedbacks, and also depending on what you can offer, because most of the antiviruses are not if it's not all, are not free or community edition. It's commercial. You just get 30 days of of access, and some of them are free, but with so many less features. It could be because of your free access, you could just get the signature-based scan, which is not effective at all,
All right,
but
all right.
still
So
reducing the risk.
okay, okay. So, but Zayad, so let's just make a quick assumption here, right? Machine learning. We're actually doing a lot of machine learning currently. So let's say in the next couple of years, do you think it will be possible for operating system, vendors like Microsoft and Apple? Do you think it is possible to use machine learning to prevent malware and attacks from the attackers?
Yes, yes, it's actually has been used in some stuff like the next generation antivirus. Okay, and when I worked in my real environment I have worked for, I saw a solution. Okay, it's as I remember, it's called Widget Network Box. It's using the artificial intelligence and machine learning to detecting the threats. It's you just attach it to your network, and my company my previous company was selling the product because we were a partner with the vendor. We were selling and installing the product to some of the customers, and one of the customers get like a free trial for around 15 or 14 days. And when they called us to come and take the books, like they see that it's not effective, okay, or there's no threats, because the non-technical people don't know the actual threats that happen, or how threats actually is going on. So basically, the books, after my team go to take all the books from their network, they found that the books actually stopped a ransomware attack, or ransomware from getting into the network.
Okay.
And the box is using machine learning and AI, and it's in update maybe daily, because the vendor which is Widget Networks, okay, they are training their machine learning module on the malwares continuously without non-installing. So it was able to detect and prevent the ransomware attacks. So the customer said, I will buy the books after he discovered that the books is stopped ransomware. So the new technology, which is artificial intelligence and machine learning, it's making a big challenge for the attackers and for the threat actors.
Wow. All right. Okay. So do you mind if I take the next question, or you want to finish up with the demo?
Yeah, sure. You can ask while I'm sitting up. It's okay.
Oh, okay. Okay. So I think, yeah. So let's say, what would be your advice for someone interested in getting into security or security research?
You said I do tips, right? Like tips.
Yeah. Yeah.
In security or security. Okay. I would say, from my point of view and my personal opinion, that there is no road or static steps to work on or to take to achieve some sort of goals. No, because each one of us has his different mindset. That's why each company is hiring a different security researchers or different pen testers, and that's why also the customer or the company go to do pen tests in different companies, and getting different companies to do for them pen test. So basically, you have a different mindset, but we all agree that there are basics you need to go for security, and which is the IT basics. For example, the operating systems, administrating, the networking, because we at the end we are all in a network, the programming stuff like that. And before you do research on something, you have to understand it. You have to understand the technology itself, because I agree with some people that saying cybersecurity is not a science. And the reason here that, as we can see, it's like sort of experience and researches that some people done and find it and put it as standards. Okay, it's not a science because it's not relying on some stuff like mathematical stuff or physical stuff like this, because computers built using microprocessors and microprocessors working with logical algebra and electricity, and these are sciences.
Yeah.
So you just take the basics of the IT and you could to go with what you want and search for what you want first. Make a clear search, understand the technology you will work on, and basically I would prefer to understand it so deep. Okay, check if you can afford or afford the resources to do your research. If you can't, you can just read a white paper or a previous research on it, and then go for the security side of this technology. The same you making, for example, research on the antivirus. You have to understand the antivirus first and how it's working actually, the architecture of the antivirus, how it's dealing with the files. Because I forgot to say, and this question reminded me of something. I forgot to say that you actually could do a research on the antivirus itself. Like, for example, you're developing a malware to bypass it, finding some sort of misconfigurations. No, you could find the vulnerability inside the antivirus itself. For example, the ISIT Node 32 antivirus was vulnerable for a remote code execution. The antivirus software itself, and because at the end it's a software, as code has its own vulnerabilities and be vulnerable for some sort of vulnerabilities.
Okay. So I think maybe you can also share some materials with us, or probably you can share with me, and I would share with the community after the session.
Yeah, you can share. You would share the slides at the end when we finish with the
Yeah,
community.
sure. Yeah, sure. I will do that. Yeah.
So okay, yeah, I'm continuing with the demo. So for that, okay. So waiting the antivirus until it's open, as it's installed, and probably is gonna make update for the signatures file. Okay, I will just wait. Okay, it's doing update. It's gonna be faster. Okay, as you can see, the file is getting update. Okay, and it's probably the file for the signatures. It's called. There are a lot of sort of files getting updates, but you could focus on the file names that it's updating because probably it's using in detection. So you could take the file names, you get your notepad or your note taking software here side by the antivirus software, and start to take the file names here and list it. So, for example, you add a note here as, let's see, let me zoom in. Okay, and you can write here the updated files. Sorry. So, and down it, you can add the file names. Start to take the file names here, because when you finish your information gathering step of gathering leads, also it's called leads, this file called leads, you can start to check it for misconfigurations that could help you in bypassing. Okay, it looks also that the machine is stopped. Okay. Okay, it's filtering the. Okay, I'm sorry, I don't know why it's doing this now. Let me open the task manager and kill the VMware. And it's opened again. Bismillah. And just let me disconnect the CPU, maybe it's the problem. Can you see my screen or?
Well, it's actually blank from here.
Okay, let me just turn on the share and share it again. Can you see it now?
Yeah, yes, I can.
Okay. Okay, so we don't want to waste time. I think. Okay, it's running now. I was gonna suggest that I make the demo and upload it on the your YouTube channel on the company YouTube channel. So it's been more better because I don't know why it's not stable now.
Yeah, I was also about to say that, because of time, maybe you can do the demo and share with us, and we'll then upload it on the YouTube channel.
Yeah, maybe we can do
I think
this.
that
I will give it the last try, and then if it's not work, we can continue with the slides and upload the demo.
okay. So I think we have a message in the chat. Can you see the chat there?
Yeah, sure. Let me see the chat. Okay. Oh yeah, Windows.
So I think the last message there, it says there is a myth that
There's a
open
myth
source projects
that
are less
open source
vulnerable.
projects are less
Yeah.
to attacks. Okay, it's less vulnerable to attacks, but still can be attacked actually. And as we know, the zero-day attacks or the zero-day vulnerabilities, actually it's like suffocated to get detected, and it's making it harder to on the investigators or on the defense team to detect it, or on the solution, even the solutions, So at all, yeah, as I said, uh, we still need the solutions and all of this stuff, even if it's open source or closed source, or commercial or community. We still need to secure ourselves or use it. Even it's gonna get attacked or bypassed, but as I said, it's reducing the attack surface at all.
All right. So yeah, so I think it might be a better option to do the demo, and we upload it on YouTube for the community. Because of time, Zayad.
Okay, no problem. I was gonna give it the last try, so I'm gonna try for the last time.
Okay.
Stay shut and safe. Okay, it's taking the snapshot from the registers, and we're gonna compare it to the previous one. Oh, okay. The second shoot. Okay, I don't know what is the Hive tar file, but we will try to open it with the path. Ah, okay. Okay, I think I don't know how to open the Hive files. I didn't take this saving before, but wait a minute. Okay. Yeah, so I think we're gonna upload the demo at the end. Sorry for that, guys.
All right, no problem.
Okay, so the okay, I will screen resolution. Okay, now screen is more clear. So at the end, sorry for the demo issues. And at the end, here are some resources that you could continue with, like the Antivirus Hackers Handbook. Uh, and this book is totally rock, actually. It's going so deep in the details. You have to be aware of assembly language before you get into it, so you understand what's actually happening and what it's explained. Okay. Also, you need to know about the Windows APIs or Windows internals at all, to help you understanding what is in the book. But I would recommend you to first learn the basic of Windows APIs and basic assembly, also some knowledge of C++, and go for the antivirus bypass techniques first. It's going to make the Antivirus Hackers Handbook easy for you, because antivirus bypass techniques is showing you the techniques and the methods to bypass the antivirus, and the Antivirus Hackers Handbook, it's showing you how to bypass it, but in an advanced way, and also is explaining how to find vulnerabilities in the antivirus software itself. So you have to be uh, aware of the assembly, as I said, and the system internals and the architecture of the antivirus. It's explained here. But the antivirus bypass techniques is going to make the Antivirus Hackers Handbook more easy for you. And of course, you're going to get a lot of advantages and knowledge and skills from the antivirus bypass techniques. That not means that this book is useless than this. No, the idea here that this book, it's old, yes, but it's going so deep in details and showing some other method and stuff to bypass the antivirus and show you how to find vulnerabilities in the antivirus itself. Because you can use corporated files to pass it to the antivirus and make a cache in the antivirus software and identify a vulnerability in the antivirus software itself from this cache. And then we have the Sector 7. Sector 7 actually is providing courses in malware development. You could go for it. It's really cool. This website is called Unprotected IT. And if we opened it, if you open this website, you can say that it contains a lot of methods you can search and techniques to bypass the antivirus here. 205 techniques, 120 code snips, 115 detection rules, So there are a lot of stuff you could learn from here. Also, we have this blog have some series about antivirus evasion and malware development. Both of these blogs actually on GitHub page. And then in the Vibble I did on GitHub, there's a section about malware development. It's containing a lot of resources like courses also including courses from different places, not just Sector 7, some books, and all this stuff. And you have these two playlists on YouTube, really cool, teaching you how to developing malwares in C++. So as I said, you need to be aware of C++, also Windows APIs, because you are going to use it a lot in malware development. And the final thing is assembly, because you will need it. That's all for now. And if you have any questions, just contact me on LinkedIn. Use it, and we're gonna upload these slides. You can download it easily and take the whole resources. And as I said, if you have any questions, just connect me on LinkedIn. And again, sorry for the demo issue. I would make the video now, and we will upload it maximum by tomorrow. And thank you all for attending. Hope you have get some knowledge and some good stuff from here. Thanks.
All right, thank you very much, Zayad. Yeah, thank you for those of us on YouTube. I think we had a couple of participants on YouTube. Thank you very much for joining. Thanks, guys, for those of you joining from the Discord server. So yeah, we're going to share the slide. And if you have any questions, right, feel free to reach out to Zayad via LinkedIn. Yeah, and I hope one of these days we'll organize a different session to dive deep into what we've discussed again. I really enjoyed the session myself, and I hope you did too. So that's all. If you are not on the server, you can definitely join the Discord server. Just simply visit the Top Universe website at topuniverse.org. You can check out the footer. I think we have a link to the Discord server on the website footer. And yeah, so when you join the server, simply say hi. And of course, yeah, so someone is asking of the Twitter handle. I think we can drop the Twitter handle on the chat, right? Yeah, someone can help us do that on the chat, please. Yeah, so thank you very much, Zayad, and we hope to see you next time. Thanks for your time and your effort. Yeah, so I think that's all. We have reached the end of this session. Thanks, guys, and do have a wonderful day or wonderful night wherever you're joining from. Bye.